going on, dudes and dudettes? So right now we're about one night before the draft. It is tomorrow, Thursday night. And we got some surprising news with a Duke player in Paolo Banchero, who is considered top 3 overall pick, maybe top 4, but definitely getting some love from Houston, as I mentioned in my last video earlier this week. But apparently, according to a lot of betting places in Vegas, his odds jumped up crazy amount, like as of last night. It went from I don't know what betting odds really means. I know it's you have to put up a certain type of money, but apparently it went from you winning $2,200 compared to only $230. And now he's considered maybe 1 or 2 of only players to be picked number 1 overall to Orlando, which is pretty crazy because as of the past couple weeks, everybody's been kind of talking down on him and maybe only seeing him as the 3rd or 4th pick. So it is pretty cool to see him getting some love. And obviously, if Vegas is going to have a betting thing on it, they definitely know something, or unless they're just trying to get people to bet on it because nobody's really been betting on it, I guess. But overall, it is some pretty exciting news for some Duke fans out there, so definitely looking forward to that tomorrow night. Should be very fun. Then USC commit for 2023, the quarterback Malachi Nelson. Even though he's going into his senior year of high school, he already signed a freaking NIL deal, which is pretty crazy. I didn't know high school players could do it already, but he's already signed something that's going to get him over $1 million, which is pretty cool. He's going to star in a commercial for some type of barbecue place or something like that as well, and do some events for this group. But I believe it's called the H. Wood Group. So I don't really know what that is, but he's going to be doing a lot of stuff for them, and it's pretty cool that he's only going to be a senior in high school right now, making over $1 million. So kind of leads me to another story from EA Sports, which might be happening soon, but I'll get into that when it comes up. Then Kendrick Nunn of the Lakers, who was a pretty nice steal for them last year because everyone thought he was going to go for some other team and get more money. But for some reason, he signed with the Lakers on a 2-year, $10 million deal. And sadly, he did not play at all last year. He played 1 or 2 preseason games and then hurt something in his leg and was never able to come back from that the whole entire year, which sucked. But luckily, as of this second, he is pretty much close to 100% healthy, which is good. And of course, he's going to pick up that $5.2 million option for the player option because he knew he didn't play at all last year, so he wasn't going to get a bigger contract than that, according to his team. So not bad to keep him. Could use him in a trade later if things don't work out, or if you have to throw in a $5 million deal here and there. But overall, even if they don't trade him, I still think he is a good player to have on the team, and hopefully we get to see him play with LeBron and AD during the regular season if he does stay. Hopefully. That's what I'm hoping for. Then yes, as I mentioned, that NIL deal that the USC quarterback got, EA Sports put out recently that they're pushing for a July 2023 release date of their new college football game, or they're going to restart distributing their college football game because they weren't able to the past decade or so because of all this stuff that happened from a UCLA graduate basketball player who got upset that his player in the game looked too much like him, which is kind of close but not really. And then it started this whole investigation and lawsuit that they couldn't use a likeness of a player in order to profit from that, while the players got nothing, and even old retired players as well. But now it looks like since that's all out of the way and the NIL deals are going out to even high school kids nowadays. I know a high school kid in California got an $8 million deal to go to Tennessee. So, it's just been going crazy. So luckily the likeness or whatever isn't going to be a big deal, and I'm pretty sure that's why they've been working on this for quite a bit. I knew they said a couple years ago within the next 5 years they would have it, but it looks like it's already on track to come out really soon, which is great. It's going to be awesome, coming out close to around my birthday, hopefully in August of next year. So definitely looking forward to that. And then according to Fox Sports, they're digging up, I guess they found out that Duke has the most number 1 overall overall number 1 picks in the NBA draft. Especially, it's crazy because I've only seen 2 in Zion Williamson and Kyrie Irving. within the last decade or so. But before that, I forget who was pick number 1, because I know Jay Will was pick number 2 in the early 2000s. And a lot of guys like R.J. Barrett, number 3. J.J. Redick was like a top 10, but not, top overall. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Awesome. At least we're over Kentucky there. I know there was another thing saying that Kentucky is beating Duke right now in, as far as like the past decade, I believe it is, of top lottery picks, which is picks 1 through 15. I'm going to go through that to see, because they're only one player ahead, and I think if you compared a lot of those players to like stat-wise and all this contract stuff, I think, yeah, Kentucky had more chances at it because everybody wanted to trust that Calipari guy out there and thought he always had the best players, when really a lot of them didn't turn out, in my opinion. I see more Duke players out there, but I don't know. That's another video for another day, hopefully. Then the Lakers head coach Darvin Hammy has hired another assistant, stealing one of his another ex places he coached at from the Bucks, an assistant out there. It's a tough name to say. Schulier Rimmer? I don't know. I've never heard it been said out loud. Hopefully I'm saying that correct. Looked like he was an ex-player, but definitely worked out with a lot of the bigs. Saw a picture of him working out with Giannis while he was out there. So, if he worked with him the past couple years, he knows how good of an assistant he can be. And I thought there was news about another assistant that they mentioned, but I didn't see anything pop up on Bleacher Report. I kind of use Bleacher Report as the more official breaking news of when stuff happens for these teams. Excuse me, so I haven't seen that, but I guess we'll wait and see. Then Coach K recently said in an interview that when it comes to the regular season games next season or this fall, he's not going to attend any of them, even though he's on like an advisory type of thing for Duke University. But I don't know. I guess it's cool that he's not doing it to not add a little bit more pressure to John Shire in his first year, I guess. He probably will end up going to the exhibition games, which Duke usually plays 1 or 2 right before the year to do a big blowout for their crowd and make their team feel good going into better competition. But he probably won't be at the other games, which is kind of okay. But I think he kind of wasted an opportunity of just waiting until at the end of this year to maybe. I've said this before. He should have just waited till after this last season was over to say he was officially done, instead of doing this farewell tour, because it put too much pressure on the players, and I really thought this team was good enough to win it all. But going down to that Final Four, there was just too much damn pressure for them to close out the deal and end with a victory for Coach K in his final year. But overall, as long as he's going to be around and showing his wisdom and maybe getting some recruits in the future right there, that's good enough for me, I guess. And then some miscellaneous news before I hit a big trade thing for the Lakers. Yes, Keanu Reeves, they had a little story come out that he apparently, I never really understood why he wasn't in Speed 2, which took place on like a cruise liner or something like that. I don't know. I think I've only seen it once, and it was when I was very young, so I really don't remember anything. I know Sandra Bullock was still in there, but apparently they had offered him about $12 million to come back and do the sequel. But after reading the script and everything, and even though the same director was returning and obviously his co-star Sandra Bullock was, he just didn't think the script was good, and he's like, we're on a bus, and yet we're going into something even slower, which is a cruise liner, and somehow that's going to be a big suspenseful thing. He didn't think it was, so he just ended up going to Broadway and doing some Shakespeare, I believe it was, for that year, which is pretty bold of him to turn down $12 million, especially at that time. But eventually he got in the good graces of Hollywood by going back and doing the Matrix movies a couple years later. But overall, I think it was a smart move on his part, and I know he's talked about wanting to do a Speed 3 if it does come up and the script is right, so definitely have that to look forward to, because Sandra Bullock is still alive as well. You could do a movie with her too, so looking forward to that if that does end up happening in the future. Now on to some 2 big trade Lakers ideas that I've made up, just because there is a lot of talk about these teams whether it's Indiana and the Lakers, the Charlotte Hornets and the Lakers, and I know Atlanta is pretty much willing to give up any player on their roster to, except for like Trae Young and DeAndre Hunter. So I thought I could add these teams. I didn't really go Houston's way because I kind of just thought to get John Wall, but then you kind of just end up not getting anything else. I wanted to get at least 2 players that the Lakers could use for depth instead of just one player to replace Westbrook's big contract. But I think we did pretty good. It wouldn't work out. It didn't offer the correct draft pick, so I'm gonna just add them here as I'm talking about it. So when it comes to the first trade, I had the Lakers trading for Bogdan Bogdanovic from Atlanta, who they've been trying to get for years now, but they're finally able to get him. And they make him team up with an ex-Sacramento King in Buddy Hield, who is another guy that they basically almost traded for Kyle Kuzma last year, but they ended up scrapping that trade. It ended up going for Russell Westbrook, and you already know how that story ends, but now they finally get both. And then I think they're both on 1 or 2 year deals, so if things don't work out, you could always get rid of them, but it also doesn't eat into your future as well when it comes to big contracts. Obviously, to get these type of players, I think Lakers would probably only have to give up 1 draft pick because they are kind of taking Bogdan because Atlanta is really trying to get rid of people. So I think they only give up 1 future first, but we'll see where they go here. So Miles Turner from Indiana would be going to Atlanta in this trade. I think they just need a better type of floor spacer. He could shoot the 3 as well, play defense for you, very athletic, big. Compared to Clint Capella, who is just a guy who catches alley-oops, plays some defense, gets some rebounds, but still missing some stuff to his offensive game. But I have Westbrook and Capella going to Indiana, which will be pretty interesting because I know Indiana is somewhat interested in getting that Westbrook deal just because they know they can leave him off the books after this next season coming up. They are still stuck with Brogdon, but I know Brogdon has been looked at on their team to go to like the Knicks and other places and stuff. So that's still an option for them, even if they have Westbrook, because then you could still pair Westbrook up with Halliburton, even though Halliburton is more of a ball-dominant type of guy, but he can still play off because he played off of DeAndre Fox as well. Oh, that's a pretty good trade, I think, and pretty much the people getting the worst of this trade, I think, is whoever gets Westbrook. In this case, it's Indiana, so I'd say send the future first, whether it's 2027 or 2029, whichever one is next available that they could trade officially in the future. I think you send it to them because Westbrook's contract is just ridiculous. Now to that final bigger trade I think the Lakers can do to improve their team is getting Gordon Hayward from the Charlotte Hornets, who, yes, is on a 2-year deal. He's an older player and doesn't always stay healthy, but after this season, if things don't go well, then you could always get rid of him or trade him away as well. He will be a hot commodity because it is just a 1-year deal, but he could help out coming off the bench as of right now, in my opinion. But then the bigger get that they get in this trade is Gary Trent Jr. from the Toronto Raptors, who obviously if they listened to me draft night a few years back, they would have had him on their team in the 2nd round, but they didn't listen to me. But overall, I liked him because he's a Duke player, but I just thought him offensively and being able to grow as a better defender was going to be possible for him, and it is. He's one of the better option guys on offense, but can help you on the defensive side as well. But offensively is what you definitely need him for. He could definitely be a 6-man for the Lakers while he's there. And then in this trade scenario, we send Westbrook to Charlotte, which obviously we would be sending, I think, because we're sending to 2 crappy teams. Well, 1 crappy team. You might have to send 2 of those future firsts to Charlotte. I'm only going to send 1 here in this scenario, but you might have to send 2, maybe a 2nd, just to be able to sweeten this deal. But I know they have been interested in Westbrook just to be able to get rid of some contracts and be able to sign like a guy like Miles Bridges, who is going in. I think he's trying to get a bigger contract this year in the off season. So then they gotta pay LaMelo Ball in the near future as well. So overall, this does work out for them. But throwing in that first rounder. Can't help. Then you also take away a player from them in Kelly Oubre Jr. and you send him to Toronto. He's another guy who could play the 2 or 3 for them. After you lose Gary Trent Jr. from there, come off the bench for you. You don't have to really worry about him. He is on a 1-year deal. They're not taking back that much money in this scenario. And he also, for the Lakers, to be able to help money-wise, be able to some breathing room, they send Talen Horton-Tucker to Toronto, and you don't have to send a first-round pick for them because they've been trying to get THT the past 2 NBA trade off seasons during the All-Star break. So they definitely like this kid for some reason. So kind of just throw him in there for them to sweeten the deal as they take on Oubre Jr.'s contract. But overall, I think those are some pretty nice trades, and they were successful in FansPro.com's trade scenario or trade modifier, whatever it's called. So yes, it is possible money-wise. I don't know, extra kick-ins of like higher salary contracts or whatever that might cost them in the end. But overall, I think these are some pretty good trades that the Lakers could make. I know they've been talking with a lot of teams, including the Nets. I'm hoping the Nets news is not that they're getting Kyrie Irving, because Kyrie Irving to me is just a team killer in my opinion, even though he's an ex-Duke player. For some reason, he's never really worked out. Even though he won a championship with LeBron, it still ended up going pretty bad in my opinion. Who's to say it's not going to go bad after 1 year as well? So I hope they're just going to be like, the Lakers will be a third team in a trade that the Nets do and pick up a second-round pick or a player as well they can use maybe, or maybe send that player out to get a second-round pick for themselves. You never know. So yes, thanks for watching, people. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. Bye.